Did you think relationships with women would be easy? I did. But what happened was, for the better part of a decade, I was in toxic, draining, and unhealthy relationships with women. And I tried to be the nice guy, a people pleaser, tried to meet all of her needs, hoping that it would make it better, but it never did. But after healing this dynamic in myself and helping over 100 men do the same thing, I can confidently say that I can spot the red flags way earlier than I could previously. And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 of the red flags that I teach my clients so that it can help you have an easier dating life and potentially avoid years of wasted time and energy. Red flag number 1. A mate of mine used to date a woman who was, let's say, quite prickly. She would often be rude to waiters. We all noticed this. She would roll her eyes and have these big, exasperated kind of reactions when he did nice things for her, like open a door for her or pull a chair out. She would often belittle him and make disrespectful comments about him in company. And his reaction to all of that was just to sort of shrug his shoulders. He was a really laid-back guy. But over time, we noticed that being with this woman was draining him. It was making him miserable. Eventually, he was not the man that we recognized. He was miserable. And that's why the first red flag I want to bring to your attention, mate, is a disrespectful attitude. If you start dating a woman and you notice that she's not friendly, she doesn't have this capacity for kindness, softness, compassion, empathy. If you notice her being subtly mean or disrespectful in any way, do not ignore it, mate. Do not ignore it. It's not going to get better. Her attitude, she likely learnt this stuff over decades. You're not going to fix her. You're not going to make it better just because you're a nice guy, because you're patient, because you're amazing, whatever. It's likely that this attitude is ingrained in her. If you end up putting up with this stuff early on, you could end up with a woman where you're constantly walking on eggshells, you're constantly drained of energy, trying to interpret things, trying to put out fires. And worst thing of all, mate, like my friend, you might lose yourself in the process, and you deserve better. Red flag number 2. I once dated a woman who early on would say that all men are trash, and she'd make a bunch of negative comments about men. I didn't see this as a red flag. I just thought, oh, whatever, it's no big deal. I didn't spot it. But over the course of time, we dated for a number of months, and we'd have these arguments. And I got the sense that the things that she would get angry about and upset about were not actually anything to do with what I was doing or anything to do with the dynamic or whatever. I got the sense that the things that she was arguing about were kind of like ghosts from her past. They were like projections of her attitudes towards men. And I learned a bit about her. It was like a projection of her relationship with her dad, because she didn't have a good relationship with her dad. So that eventually was being projected onto me. So the second red flag I want to bring to your attention, mate, is unhealed, unprocessed wounding from her past in relation to men and the masculine. Now, we all have some level of unprocessed wounding, which is what makes us human. But if she doesn't have, if she's not working on this actively at all, that is the red flag I want to bring to your attention. Do not become her savior. Do not become her rescuer. This might make you feel good about yourself to think that you can fix her, but you can't, mate. You can't heal someone else's wounds for them. So don't even try. Red flag number 3. A former client of mine was dating a woman when he came to see me, a woman who would consistently spend most of her day on Instagram. She would post thirst trap photos of her in bikinis, provocatively positioned and all this other stuff. Now, my client didn't think that he had any right to say anything about this. He would often say, oh, I'm a man. What right do I have to tell a woman what she can and can't do, etc.? It's like he was consistently abandoning himself and his own boundaries. Now, over time, he had to, and as we worked together, we had to reckon with the fact that in the relationship, she seemed to put more energy into Instagram and getting followers and having likes from her photos and stuff. She seemed to put more energy into that than she was putting into him, because his relationship was not a healthy one. It was not a positive one. So the third red flag I want to bring to your attention, man, is an addiction to validation. It can show up in many ways. If she can't be single for very long, if she always has to have a man in her life, always, right? If she is constantly on social media, like like that woman I was talking about, constantly posting thirst trap photos, if she's all over social media, she's addicted to it. If she's juggling multiple men, you know, it's one thing to keep your options open, but it's another thing to constantly have multiple men hooked on the line emotionally to give you a sense of self-esteem. It's hard. These are hard things to spot, but if you can spot them early, mate, don't ignore them. Because it's likely a woman who does this, she's not looking for connection. She may not even have the capacity for intimacy or connection. She may just be looking for validation through you. And mate, here's the truth. That is a bottomless pit that will never be filled. Do you really want to compete with the internet for her attention? Real connection and real intimacy, what you really deserve, mate. This can only be built when you are able to be with each other without the whole world watching. Red flag number 4. This is about another client. He came to me, the guy's 46 years old, and he came to me and he was married, but his wife treated him like he was 12 years old. She would dress him. She would tell him what to wear. She'd manage the finances. She'd remind him to take his medication and keep, and she'd even manage his schedule. It was crazy. She was like his secretary. Now, my client thought, because he'd been raised to believe this, that that's what love is. That's just what, she's just being herself. This is nice. But that all changed. His whole perspective changed when I asked him a single burning question. I said, mate, when was the last time you guys had sex? His face went white, and he just said to me, it's been years. And that's why the 4th red flag I want to bring to your attention is emasculating behavior. Emasculation is essentially losing your sense of being a strong, competent, capable, independent man within the relationship. And one behavior of emasculation is mothering behavior. It's essentially controlling, because of her own wounding, everything that you do, because she doesn't trust that you can handle things. It's all in relation to her own wounds that she's still carrying. So if you spot this stuff early on, don't ignore it, speak up about it, set boundaries around it. And if she reciprocates, then that's great. I mean, it means that she's open to growing with you, right? She doesn't have to be perfect. But if she consistently mothers you and you allow this, she stops seeing you as a man, she starts seeing you as a boy, and that's when the sexual attraction, the chemistry, dies. A great woman should inspire you to become better, not make you shrink to the level of a dependent child. So nip it in the bud and don't allow it. Red flag number 5. This was from a guy who came to one of my retreats. He told everyone on the retreat that he was dating a woman who would give him the silent treatment. It was her main card, her ace up her sleeve she'd always use. Whenever she was upset, she'd cut him off and not speak to him. Sometimes this would last for weeks. And what the guy on the retreat tried to do, is he would do favors for her. He would interpret how she felt and try to make her feel better. He bent over backwards to try and do things around the house for her, etc. But none of it worked. She still stayed silent with him. Now, this is why the 5th red flag is what I call overall emotional immaturity. This can show up like a failure to communicate, poor communication skills, unwillingness to communicate, not taking responsibility for herself at all. It could show up as self-victimization, where she constantly blames you, blames everyone else, blames her exes for everything. If you notice any behavior like this early on, mate, do not ignore it, because you cannot build a relationship, a healthy connection with a woman who is emotionally immature. I know what you're thinking, this is rare. Yeah, it's rare. It's very rare. Emotionally immature people in general are everywhere. But if you don't pay attention to this, then you'll end up dating a woman who is emotionally immature, which means you'll end up pouring all of your energy into a woman who refuses to grow. And you'll find your growth being limited to, she will be the cap on your personal development. You will remain the same age emotionally that she is. If she's 14 emotionally, you're going to stay stuck there. And the worst thing about this, mate, is you'll end up feeling lonelier in the relationship than you ever would if you were single. And you deserve better than that. So spotting the red flags, mate, is only half the battle. The next step is to actually implement a process where you go from being what I call a nice guy pleaser to a confident masculine leader. And in this video, the one I'm pointing to on screen right now, I dive into the actual process that you can go through to do that. Take care, mate. I'll see you in the next video. Stay courageous.